Why Clint Eastwood still refuses to watch this one episode. He filmed. In 1970, Clint Eastwood was born Clinton Eastwood Jr. on May 31, 1930 in San Francisco, California. Raised during the Great Depression, Eastwood's early life was shaped by frequent moves across California as his father searched for work. These formative years instilled in him a strong work ethic and quiet resilience that would later come to define his screen persona. After high school, he held various odd jobs, from lumberjack to gas station attendant, before being drafted into the U.S. Army during the Korean War. It was while stationed at Fort Ord that Eastwood began to rub shoulders with aspiring actors and found himself drawn to the world of performance. His big break came in the late 1950s when he was cast as Rowdy Yates in the hit television Western Rawhide. Though his role was initially secondary, Eastwood's commanding presence and rugged good looks made him a fan favorite, and the show became a springboard for his career. However, it was his portrayal of the enigmatic man with no name in Sergio Leone's groundbreaking Dollars trilogy, A Fistful of Dollars, 1964, For a Few Dollars More, 1965, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, 1966, that catapulted him into international stardom. These so-called spaghetti westerns redefined the genre and turned Eastwood into a global icon of cool stoicism and gritty anti-heroism. In the 1970s, Eastwood expanded his reach with the Dirty Harry series, portraying Inspector Harry Callahan, a no-nonsense San Francisco cop who became both a controversial and celebrated figure in American pop culture. With lines like, "Go ahead, make my day," Eastwood became the face of rugged masculinity and conservative law and order sentiment, embodying a character who operated by his own code in a world of moral ambiguity. Never content to remain solely in front of the camera, Eastwood transitioned into directing and quickly established himself as a powerhouse behind the lens. His directorial debut, Play Misty for Me, 1971, revealed a flair for suspense and psychological drama. Over the decades, he helmed an impressive range of films, from westerns like High Plains Drifter, 1973, and Pale Rider, 1985, to character-driven dramas like The Bridges of Madison County, 1995, and hard-hitting war films such as Flags of Our Fathers, 2006, and Letters from Iwo Jima, 2006, the latter of which was told from the Japanese perspective, a daring and empathetic move that won critical acclaim. Eastwood's career reached a pinnacle with Unforgiven, 1992, a revisionist western that deconstructed the myths of violence and heroism. The film won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director, solidifying Eastwood's place as one of cinema's true auteurs. He continued to garner awards and accolades with Million Dollar Baby, 2004, another Best Picture and Best Director winner, showcasing his deft touch for emotional storytelling and complex moral themes. Even in his later years, Eastwood has shown no signs of slowing down. Films like Gran Torino, 2008, American Sniper, 2014, Sully, 2016, and The Mule, 2018, illustrate a filmmaker and performer still at the top of his game, tackling relevant societal issues and humanizing iconic figures with depth and nuance. His minimalist directorial style, favoring natural lighting, few takes, and efficient shooting schedules, has become legendary in the industry. Beyond his cinematic legacy, Clint Eastwood has also made his mark in politics, serving as mayor of Carmel-by-the-Sea, California, from 1986 to 1988. Though he's often been associated with conservative viewpoints, Eastwood's personal philosophy has always been more libertarian and individualistic than strictly partisan. He's an advocate for personal freedom, environmental conservation, and the arts, reflecting a multifaceted and often surprising set of values. Eastwood's contributions have been recognized with numerous honors, including multiple Academy Awards, Golden Globes, and Lifetime Achievement Awards. In 2000, he was awarded the Irving G. Thalberg Memorial Award for his consistent high-quality production work. He also received the French Legion of Honor in 2007 and was named an AFI Life Achievement Award recipient. On December 19, 1953, Clint Eastwood married Maggie Johnson, a secretary at an auto parts company he had met on a blind date earlier that year. At the time, Eastwood was still a relatively unknown actor, yet to make the monumental impact on Hollywood that would define his later career. Maggie stood by him through the early years of financial instability and long stretches of professional uncertainty. Their marriage lasted over 3 decades, during which Eastwood's fame grew astronomically. The couple had 2 children together: Kyle Eastwood, born in 1968, who would go on to become a respected jazz musician and composer, and Allison Eastwood, born in 1972, who followed in her father's footsteps into the film industry as an actress, director, and producer. Although the couple presented a stable public image for many years, their relationship was deeply strained by Eastwood's numerous extramarital affairs. After a long period of estrangement, they separated in 1984, and the divorce was finalized several years later. Reports at the time suggested that Maggie Johnson received a divorce settlement ranging between $25 million and $30 million. A figure reflective not only of Eastwood's immense wealth, but also the high-profile nature of their union. Even before his formal separation from Johnson, Eastwood had been involved in a significant and long-term extramarital relationship with Roxanne Tunis, a stuntwoman and dancer, which began in 1959 and lasted until around 1973. Their affair was conducted with a level of discretion befitting Eastwood's rising stardom, but it was no less significant. In 1964, the couple had a daughter, Kimber Lynn Eastwood, who was kept out of the public eye for many years. For a time, even the existence of Kimber was not widely known, and she was raised quietly by Tunis with minimal public acknowledgement from Eastwood, although he reportedly supported her privately. Kimber would eventually become involved in the entertainment industry herself, working as a makeup artist and producer. The relationship with Tunis overlapped with Eastwood's marriage to Johnson, which was an early sign of the complex and often overlapping personal relationships that would characterize much of his life. By 1975, Eastwood entered into one of his most visible and widely discussed relationships, this time with actress Sondra Locke. Their union was both personal and professional, and they became one of Hollywood's most recognizable power couples of the era. Locke co-starred with Eastwood in multiple films, including The Outlawed Josie Wales, Every Which Way But Loose, and Bronco Billy, and their on-screen chemistry reflected a deep, real-life bond. They lived together for over 14 years, from 1975 until their acrimonious split in April 1989. Despite their seemingly devoted partnership, Eastwood maintained other relationships during this time, and it later emerged that he had fathered at least 3 children with other women while still with Locke. This revelation led to considerable personal and legal drama, culminating in lawsuits and a highly publicized legal battle after their breakup. Locke later wrote a memoir, The Good, the Bad, and the Very Ugly, which detailed her relationship with Eastwood and accused him of manipulation and betrayal. Their bitter end marked a turning point in Eastwood's public persona, which had previously been seen as stoic and reserved, but now drew scrutiny for its private contradictions. Among the other relationships Eastwood maintained during his time with Locke was an unpublicized affair with Jocelyn Reeves, a flight attendant he reportedly met in the early 1980s. Their relationship remained secret for many years, and neither was a public figure at the time, allowing the affair to stay below the radar. From this relationship, Eastwood fathered 2 more children, Scott Eastwood, born in 1986, and Catherine Eastwood, born in 1988. While Reeves raised the children largely out of the public spotlight, Scott would later step into Hollywood in his own right, becoming an actor known for roles in The Longest Ride, Pacific Rim, Uprising, and Suicide Squad. Like several of Eastwood's other children, Scott didn't carry his father's name for many years and only publicly acknowledged their relationship as an adult. Catherine Eastwood also entered the entertainment world, albeit more quietly, working as a writer and actress. The Reeves affair revealed Eastwood's increasing difficulty in maintaining private boundaries, as his growing fame made it harder to conceal his romantic entanglements. Following his high-profile split from Locke, Eastwood found companionship with actress Frances Fisher, whom he met while filming the acclaimed Western Unforgiven in the early 1990s. Their relationship, though shorter than his previous ones, was no less significant. Fisher, an established actress with a strong screen presence, became an important partner during a creative high point in Eastwood's career. Together they had a daughter, Francesca Eastwood, born in 1993, who would go on to appear in television and film and gain further recognition through reality TV. Though Eastwood and Fisher eventually went their separate ways, they remained publicly cordial and have occasionally appeared at events together with their daughter. In a rare step toward traditional commitment, Clint Eastwood married again, this time to Dina Ruiz, a former television news anchor, on March 31, 1996. This union marked his second marriage and was seen by many as a surprising turn for the actor, who had long cultivated a reputation as an independent and somewhat solitary figure. Dinah, who was 35 years his junior, brought a different energy to Eastwood's life, and their marriage was widely covered in the media. That same year, they welcomed a daughter, Morgan Eastwood, born in 1996. For a time, the family presented a stable and relatively modern dynamic, appearing together in public and participating in various projects, including a reality show, Mrs. Eastwood and Company, which aired in 2012 and showcased the Eastwood family's life behind the scenes. However, the marriage began to falter, and by August 2013, Dina revealed that she and Eastwood were living separately. Their divorce was finalized in 2014, bringing an end to Eastwood's last publicly acknowledged long-term romantic relationship. Clint Eastwood, one of Hollywood's most enduring icons and an actor whose presence defined the Western genre for generations, has built his legacy on unforgettable roles, gritty storytelling, and uncompromising cinematic vision. But despite his vast filmography and long-standing reputation for professionalism, there remains one project that Clint Eastwood has consistently distanced himself from. Two Mules for Sister Sarah, the 1970 Western adventure he starred in alongside Shirley MacLaine. To this day, Eastwood refuses to rewatch the film, and the reasons go deeper than mere artistic dissatisfaction. They touch on clashing egos, creative disillusionment, and a profound discomfort that lingers even decades later. At the time the film was shot, Eastwood was still in the early stages of transitioning from his man-with-no-name spaghetti western persona to becoming a fully fledged Hollywood leading man. He had already proven himself with Sergio Leone's trilogy, and Two Mules for Sister Sarah was intended to further cement his rising star power. Set during the French intervention in Mexico, the film tells the story of a cynical mercenary, Hogan Eastwood, who rescues and accompanies a mysterious woman, Sister Sarah MacLaine, on a perilous journey filled with revolutionaries, danger, and deception. On the surface, the project seemed like a perfect fit for Eastwood. It combined his rugged persona with an offbeat twist, offering a Western laced with comedy and intrigue. However, from the moment filming began, Eastwood reportedly felt a growing sense of unease. The source of much of this discomfort was his co-star, Shirley MacLaine, an outspoken and deeply involved actress whose working style clashed dramatically with Eastwood's laid-back, instinctual approach to acting. While Eastwood preferred a minimalist, no-nonsense method, relying on quiet intensity and subtle facial expressions. McClane was more theatrical, assertive, and prone to challenging the director's choices. Their personalities collided on set, leading to frequent disagreements and what Eastwood would later describe as one of the most difficult working relationships of his career. He once referred to the experience of filming Two Mules for Sister Sarah as unpleasant, which, for the famously restrained Eastwood, speaks volumes. The tension between Eastwood and McClane wasn't the only problem. Eastwood was also disillusioned with the tone and direction of the film. Directed by Don Siegel, who would later become one of Eastwood's most trusted collaborators, the film attempted to blend traditional Western tropes with a quirky, almost comedic undertone. While Siegel managed to coax some strong performances and visually dynamic scenes, Eastwood felt the movie lacked the grit and moral complexity he gravitated toward. Even worse, the film's big twist, that McClane's nun was in fact a prostitute disguised as a sister, came off as contrived and undermined the emotional stakes. Eastwood believed the story veered too far into implausibility, and the film's lighter tone didn't sit well with his personal taste for stark realism. Another reason Eastwood has been reluctant to revisit Two Mules for Sister Sarah is the way it represented a period of transition in his career that he has since tried to distance himself from. At the time, he was still working under the shadow of studios and directors who did not fully understand or harness his potential. It wouldn't be until a few years later, with films like High Plains Drifter and the outlaw Josie Wales, that Eastwood would begin to take creative control and shape his own directorial vision, stories that aligned more closely with his artistic philosophy. In retrospect, Two Mules for Sister Sarah became a symbol of a time when he was a hired gun rather than the auteur he would become, and watching it today might remind him of the frustrations and compromises of that era. Over the decades, Clint Eastwood has rarely commented on the film, and when he has, his words have been noticeably restrained, even chilly. Unlike some of his other westerns, many of which he revisits or references with pride, Two Mules for Sister Sarah is conspicuously absent from retrospectives, interviews, or directors' commentaries. His silence speaks to an unresolved discomfort, a chapter he seems to consider best left closed. Whether it's the memory of creative friction, the disappointment with the film's tone, or a general feeling that the project simply didn't reflect who he was as an actor or artist, Two Mules for Sister Sarah remains the rare blemish in a career filled with iconic moments.